Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Sometimes people trying to be nice become a real pain in the butt, which is exactly the kind of character our OP encountered in our first story. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. This isn't even your yard, man. I, 26-year-old female, work as a meter reader for the city government where I live. Usually my job is to drive around town with a radio in my truck that picks up electronic reads from all the utility meters. The data I collect is used for creating utility bills. Since I'm technically not in the water department or the street department, I've never been required to wear a uniform or reflective gear of any kind. But I do have the option to wear reflective gear if I want to. I usually don't wear a vest because I'm usually sitting alone in my truck, or if I get out of the truck, my marked work truck is nearby with the flashing beacon on. Every now and then we have trouble with water meters not picking up, and I have to go figure out what's wrong. Some water meters are super easy to locate, but some older water meters are in unusual places or just really hard to see or uncover because they haven't been uncovered for a while. Okay, so one afternoon, I'm looking for a water meter using my 4-foot-long metal stick with a hook on the end that opens the meter lids to shift debris as I go. All of a sudden, a man stops his truck in the middle of the road and hollers out his window, "You need any help?" I say thanks, but no, and keep looking. The man then pulls his truck into the closest driveway, gets out of his truck, and approaches me. He asks again if I need any help. I explain what I'm looking for, but tell him I think I found the meter. I had. He then goes, "Oh, well, the water line runs this way. One meter is right over here," points to a meter. I already checked, and there's also some meters right here, points to 2 more meters I'd already checked. At this point, I'm absolutely peeved. I've repeatedly told him I do not need help, as I've already found what I'm looking for, but he's not going away. So I ask if he lives in the house whose yard I'm standing in, and he says, "Oh no, I live 3 houses down." I make an excuse about needing something from my truck, and he finally leaves, but before he drives off, he asks if I need a shovel, and I flatly say, "No. I have about 3 in my truck, plus all the other tools I need to do my job." It's literally my job to locate these things. Does this man ask bartenders if they need help making drinks? Next time, ask whether he lives there first, and then explain you know how to do your job and you'd greatly appreciate him leaving you to it. And our second story. Triple ban on an ancient evil. I've worked for a Midwestern-based superstore / big box store. I've worked for this company for the better part of 20 years and have put up with a lot, but I'm stubborn and like getting paid, so yeah. In my particular store, we have an infamous customer that was banned from our store over 10 years ago for causing problems, arguing with team members, yelling at customers, and being a high-volume returner. She'd been known to take frozen foods and stash them in fashions or leave meats in the yarn / fabric sections, etc. You know, real upstanding things. Part of her entitlement came from one of our managers was dating her son and let her get away with anything. As the years passed, everyone I knew had stories about this woman. If you've heard of the classic Karens, I think this lady was the origin of the species who all call primordial Karen, or PK. When I train new people, I always make sure to mention her, describing her as around 500 years old, smoking 20 packs a day, and having a deeper voice than I do. I've had phone interactions with her where I've called her Sir the entire time, because I couldn't tell it was this particular customer until she would get mad and say, "You know this is Primordial Karen, right?" My response, "I'm sorry, sir, I did not." Well, as I said in the title, this is historic triple ban, so I may as well get on with it. Ban 1. The aforementioned arguing, assault, returns in the thousands, and being a general Megatron Karen, I don't normally work the service desk. But I do occasionally have to grab returns to shop back. As I was approaching the desk, I see Primordial Karen, the service team leaders, store director, and interestingly, the county sheriff's deputies. I happened to hear PK cussing at our service team leader and surprisingly, the manager swearing back at her with F-bombs and all that. Never seen that from management before. On the floor, even as I'd only worked here for a few years at that point and being only in my mid-20s, I was unaccustomed to this as I was a polite young man and my parents were strict about profanity. I've since grown up. I hear the store director say, "PK, we don't need you as a customer. You're going to leave the store and you're being banned from our location. You're being denied service. You cannot buy what is in your cart because you will just try to return it later, and I don't want to deal with you anymore." PK's even more angry at this point, but the store director points to the deputy and says if she didn't leave, she'd be removed. She left. I should also mention that this manager that was dating PK's son had been fired not too long before this for theft, and we were not going to put up with it anymore. Ban 2. Some time goes by and all is well, but suddenly a disturbance in the force. Different departments keep getting calls from some angry old guy, and because I'd been there for about 5 years and trained most of the other team members, they all start approaching me with similar stories. I start putting 2 and 2 together and come up with PK hitting on some new scheme to get around her man. She was calling into the store to find someone who would shop for her, way before personal shopping apps existed, and then send someone into the store to pick up her order. This is when I get the call when I call her sir, as mentioned above. I find out she's been parking in our parking lot and harassing customers and asking them to shop for her. Finally, I hear she convinced one of our fashion/baby team to buy her some products using the team member's own money, then to deliver it to PK's house. Talking to the team member later, I found out PK didn't even pay her back for the purchase. All this is reported to management and a memo is passed around that if we get calls from PK, to forward them to our store director. I find out the store director saw PK in the parking lot and banned her not only from our property, but from the entire company, and that she'll be arrested for trespassing if she's caught again. Ban 3. As of today, it's been about 12 years since my first interaction with PK, and we still get calls from time to time. For some reason, senility I assume, she's probably pushing 600 by now. She's been calling every few hours looking for a Shark vacuum and a Keurig coffee maker. I call my manager and inform them that PK seems to still be living, or at least some unholy undead of some kind, and is calling. I tell him that I just had to hang up on her because she started cussing at me within 30 seconds of answering the department phone. Bosses say they're aware, and I'm not the first to report her today. Apparently she started calling yesterday. Nothing we can do. Or so I thought. I guess PK got fed up with getting hung up on, so she called our corporate helpline. I feel sorry for the operator that dealt with her, and demanded she be connected to the store. The operator sounded frazzled when I answered the phone because I do not work in the department she was trying to direct to. I told her we had a service rush and I was the only team member on the floor and would try to help. The operator says she has a really rude lady on the phone asking for a Keurig and a Shark vacuum. F. Audible sigh. I tell the operator I've dealt with this customer 3 times this morning and others have too. She's banned, blah, blah, blah. The operator, to my surprise, says, "Oh, thank God. I'll talk to my supervisor and have this number listed on our ban list. We may have to talk to your store director, but we'll take care of this." My dumbfounded response, "You can do that? I've been dealing with her for 12 years. The operator says yes, and it looks like the customer hung up during our conversation anyway. So have a nice day. She must have been a vengeful ghost with unfinished business. Wonder what she needed a vacuum and coffee for in the afterlife. And our last story. Am I stealing and breaking into the store where I work? Context. I was 16 at the time. My dad owns a post office that does post. Duh. And also sells basic stuff. You know, crisps, drinks, some data things, battery cables, headphones, etc. The average stuff. I looked relatively younger than I was. I looked about 13 or 14, and I helped a lot with it if I took snacks and some Pepsi near the beginning of work, then have a lunch break at a pizza place near. There were a few customers, and 2 of them were regulars. Bear in mind it wasn't a small space, but it wasn't massive either. I'm doing some packages and also helping someone with a post-related question. After I finished, I went to get a Pepsi because Pepsi? Then a cranky Karen yelled at me, the door to the front counters right near the entrance, that I was stealing. I understood if you saw a kid stealing stuff, you'd try to stop it as well, right? Interaction goes like this. Me is me, Karen is Karen. Karen, hey, stop right there. Karen slow walks. Stop. I know you're trying to steal that. Put it back or I'll call the... Me. Oh, ma'am, I work here. I'm not stealing. I just... Karen. I don't care. How dare you cut me off? Me. Sorry, but again, I'm not stealing. I work here. I was just getting something to drink. Karen. Stop lying to me, you stealing pea. You don't even work here. Me. Ma'am, please stop shouting. I'll tell you a third time, I'm not stealing. See, she has 2 packages in her hand. And I do work here. Would you like me to help you with your packages? Gets behind the counter. At this moment, the other 2 employees working were in the basement, hauling up stock for drinks, snacks, and pre-packed boxes, so I was here by myself with no one in the store except me and her. Karen. I don't want a little kid telling me what to do. I'll call the authorities on you. And you're trespassing. Leave or I'll call the police. You're way too young to help with anything. I'm friends with the owner, and I'll get you banned from this store and get you arrested. Now the other workers came back up and asked what's happening because of the screaming. And the audacity of this bee. She says that I shouted at her and called her a disabled, autistic, fat, ugly, and that I slapped her. These workers were like my family. We all cared for each other, and they know I'd never do that. So they checked the CCTV with sound and found out that I didn't do that. Surprise, surprise. And they told her to leave the store. She complained for like 10 minutes. We said that if she didn't leave, we'd call the authorities. One glare, then boom, she went. Funny thing, my dad, owner, came literally 3 minutes after she was gone. +1 Pepsi, -1 Karen, 30 minutes. General question, why do Karen/Kevins always claim to know the owner/manager? So easy to check. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.